Hello, I am Brian Swanson with the University of Minnesota. Included in my responsibility is the university's Higher Education Asset Preservation and Replacement Program. Thank you for taking a few minutes to hear more about how we manage HEAPR funding at the University of Minnesota. With more than 50% of our buildings now over 50 years old, HEAPR funding is more critical than ever. In this presentation, I will explain how we prioritize projects and how we allocate funds equitably across the University of Minnesota enterprise. At the end of the presentation, I will report on our progress towards spending past appropriations, highlight a few of the many positive outcomes of HEAPR, and reaffirm our readiness to spend HEAPR to boost the Minnesota economy. HEAPR is a special category of state bonding enacted in 1994 to address the many challenges Minnesota's public higher education institutions faced and continue to face in renewing and sustaining their large physical campuses. The statute specifically focuses on preserving and replacing existing buildings and has strict parameters around how funds may be spent. Projects must fall into one of 5 categories: accessibility, health and safety, building systems like heating, plumbing, and electrical, utility infrastructure, and energy efficiency. While these investments may not be glamorous, they are essential to keeping the university safe, functional, and welcoming. The university follows a rigorous process for selecting projects that meet all eligibility requirements and routinely reports on progress to the legislature and Minnesota management and budget. When HEAPR was first enacted in 1994, Minnesota legislators, like other national lawmakers, were becoming aware of the growing risk of aging university buildings and infrastructure. Fast forward 26 years, and 50% of the university's buildings are now over 50 years old. Across all University of Minnesota campuses, the documented 10-year renewal need is nearly $4.9 billion. These findings come from an independent facility assessor that we contract with to conduct a thorough facility condition assessment for each campus across the state. These unbiased results tell us about the relative health of buildings, where we should invest, and when to invest. While it would have been better to invest more heavily in the past, it is never too late to start catching up. Every $1 in proactive stewardship investment avoids $3 in future capital investment renewal. Extending the useful life of an existing investment will always be more economical than replacing it with a new building. We know how much funding we need, when we need it, and where we should invest to properly steward our campuses. We ask for $200 million each year in the state request for HEAPR because it is our need. As the previous slide showed, our available resources routinely fall short, and the result is an ever-increasing backlog of needs. This chart compares actual investments for the last decade against how much we should be investing annually. The bottom of the yellow range shows the minimum needed to sustain the status quo. The top of the yellow range shows the amount needed to start tackling the backlog of deferred renewal. We estimate that approximately $750 million has been added to our backlog of needs over the last 10 years. Given the immense need and limited resources, we are careful with how every single dollar is invested. The university's facility condition assessment and building-specific strategies identify the most critical buildings and projects. At the system campus level, leadership and staff are routinely engaged to develop, review, and confirm their local priorities. Once the most pressing projects have been identified for the most important buildings, we consider a variety of other factors to arrive at the final list. These factors include the criticality of the problem, the likelihood of the problem getting worse, the risks associated with the potential failure, applicable regulatory requirements, and the impact of the problem on academic programs. The university each session presents a prioritized project list based on a full request of $200 million. We know, however, that the legislature typically funds only a portion of our request, so many HEAPR projects will need to get cut from this original list. In making these cuts, we are forced to evaluate a variety of factors. These include which projects can be scaled back, reduced in scope, or delayed, what projects have previously funded design work with a limited shelf life, and ultimately, what mix of projects within the new funding target will have the greatest impact on the most urgent needs. HEAPR dollars are allocated across all campuses with university-owned buildings according to a straightforward and equitable formula based on how much space each campus has and the condition of its space. For example, the Duluth campus represents 9.8% of the university's entire eligible square feet and 8.1% of total recorded facility needs. Per the formula, Duluth receives 9% of the total HEAPR appropriation. HEAPR funding is guaranteed to reach all campuses with an emphasis on those that need it the most. In addition to this formula-based allocation, the Twin Cities campus periodically provides additional support to system campuses to accomplish larger projects that cannot be accomplished within the formulaic allocation. Full funding of the university's 2021 HEAPR request will result in approximately 170 projects in more than 100 buildings system-wide. On the Crookston campus, the university plans to fund much-needed utility infrastructure improvements, including the replacement of natural gas distribution lines. On the Duluth campus, the priority is replacing aging HVAC systems and building code deficiencies in the 1956 Humanities Building. On the Morris campus, the university hopes to be able to install an elevator and modernize the fire alarm system in the Multi-Ethnic Resource Center, a building built in 1900. The Food Science and Nutrition Building in St. Paul is a high priority on the Twin Cities campus. This building was built in 1956 and has numerous obsolete systems in need of replacement, including the electrical, heating, cooling, and life safety systems. Finally, a full HEAPR appropriation would fund more than 40 projects in 30 buildings on the research and outreach centers and field stations operated by the College of Biological Sciences and the College of Food, Agricultural, and Natural Resources Sciences across the state of Minnesota. I'd like to end with an update on how the university has done in spending recent appropriations. Between 2017 and 2020, the state of Minnesota entrusted the University of Minnesota with just over $100 million in HEAPR funding. Of this investment, 90% has already been put to use or is in the process of being spent. This funding has supported more than 75 projects in 60 buildings across the state. More than 90% of expenditures went back into the state of Minnesota, supporting more than 170 local architects, engineers, and construction contractors. Our analysis shows that for every $1 million appropriated, 24 jobs are either created or retained. And for the past 5 years, 30% of capital expenditures went to women or minority-owned businesses. In conclusion, the university is ready and able to quickly and wisely spend the funding we receive. Thank you for your past and current support of the University of Minnesota and the important role the university plays in Minnesota.